An issue circulating during the last month of the legislative session at the Capitol involves gross production tax on oil and natural gas. Currently, a 1% gross production tax is levied on horizontal wells for the first 4 years of operation. But that rate is scheduled to expire in 2015 and jump up to 7%. Other wells, such as vertical wells, already face a 7% tax. Also currently, the state faces a budget shortfall, and some are saying this would be a way to generate revenue via additional tax dollars for education and other programs. I sat down with 3 gentlemen you will recognize, some guys who know a thing or two about the oil and gas business. Harold Hamm, Doug Lawler, and Larry Nichols from Continental, Chesapeake, and Devon, respectively. Larry, what's the effects of this?
Well, the beauty of the current tax is that it has created a lot of economic activity in Oklahoma, which benefits everybody. Schools and roads around the state benefit from that because it creates production taxes. The existing tax expires in the middle of next year, and if that happens, a lot of wells in Oklahoma will become uneconomic, and this economic activity that we've had will slow down to the detriment of everybody.
And Doug, I guess that's what the state is looking at, and a lot of people are looking at, hey, there's a budget shortfall. This is a way we can make some money. But this greatly impacts your industry.
It absolutely does. The resurgence in the U.S. energy business, the increase in production that we've recognized in Oklahoma is a wonderful thing. And what is very, very important to note is that Oklahoma has some very, very high quality areas to invest for oil and gas. Those areas, though, are not the best areas in the country. There are opportunities that each of us as portfolio players, we have other areas that we can invest in that are very, very economic and very competitive. And so we're very focused on the economics, and we want to see Oklahoma be a preferential place to invest. Any increase in taxing will definitely impact the economics of our wells and impact the continued investment in the state of Oklahoma.
Harold Hamm from Continental, I mentioned 2 things that we were going to talk about here. One was the gross production tax on oil and gas. The other is spacing and spacing relief. Can you address that?
Yes, there's a statute that limits spacing in Oklahoma to 640 acres. And this was passed back in the late 70s era and had to do with ultra deep natural gas wells in the Anadarko Basin. We're talking well 25, 30,000 foot deep as drilled vertically. And the spacing limited the size of those units down to 640 acres from a 1,440 acre application that was there then. It has really no benefit today, and it limits us in what we can do with a horizontal lateral. If we're down there already in the formation, we drill the next section for 30% of what we did the first one. Yet today we can't do that without putting multi-units together, which is very cumbersome.
It was a limitation built on or set around technology and infrastructure at that point. But at this point, you guys can go well beyond that 640 acres, correct?
Yes, every state that we work in don't have that limitation. In North Dakota, every well practically is drilled on 1,280 acres. And so it's very efficient, and a lot of those 1280s have got multiple wells in them, up to 16, 18 wells up there. Here, the furthest you can drill is one 640 acre unit.
If nothing is done during this session of the legislature, companies such as Continental, Chesapeake, and Devon will make their 2015 budgets and plans according to the belief that gross production tax on oil and gas will rise to 7% for all wells. You guys are going to be setting your budgets based on what happens now going forward.
Yeah, correct. If they don't fix it in this month, in the month of May, then when we start doing our budget for next year, everyone will assume that the tax rate goes from 1 to 7. A major increase in taxes goes up 7-fold, and the state will assume the same thing. But when the year rolls around, those rigs will have already gotten moved, because though so many wells in Oklahoma will not be economic at that rate, because as Doug said, we have good rock, we don't have great rock. And with those uneconomic wells will result in economic activity, employment, rig rate going down. And that's not good for anyone in this state.
And our 3 companies are investing significant money in Oklahoma this year. What's not always as obvious is the indirect and induced benefits of that activity on the communities, the counties, the state, are very significant. restaurants, hotels, all the ripple effect through the economy from that significant investment in the state is very, very important.
These gentlemen have a proposal. That proposal would set a uniform tax rate for all wells, 2% for the first 48 months, then 7% after that, marking a reduction for vertical wells. Currently, there are about 200 rigs in the state, and between 85 and 90% of those are horizontal wells. You've also come to the table, as I understand it, with a solution, a proposal.
Yes, we come up with a proposal that makes the tax simpler, makes it permanent, treats everyone in the industry the same way, so it's totally fair for everyone in the industry. Has a modest tax increase to it, but a little bit. It's hard to estimate that precisely, and continues the economic activity, which benefits everybody.
The opportunities and the investments in Oklahoma are not equivalent to some of the other areas, such as the Bakken in North Dakota or West Texas or the Eagle Ford in South Texas. And we are very focused on driving additional value and additional investment towards the opportunities in Oklahoma. But with an increased tax, 100% tax increase, as Larry described, is what we're looking at potentially endorsing that we would go with for our companies. But that increase, if we go beyond that, it will limit the amount of activity and it will reduce the investment in the state.
Very good, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated. You can find ongoing coverage of Oklahoma's energy sector and the closing days of the state legislative session every day in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com.